Hello, hello. We're back with Infinity Nikki. We're gonna go fight this boss. I'm gonna go kill all these red dots because I hate red dots. Hate notification dots. They are the bane of my existence. I should remember to collect those gems. Even if I'm not playing, because I don't want you guys to miss out. Because last time I played without you guys, you were really sad. And I don't want to make you sad. So. Yeah. My lips have been like really dry lately. So I don't know what that's about. Oh, I probably... No, I did that. Why does it have the... Oh, because it's a daily realm thing. I don't know what I need for daily realm right now, so... Whoops. Press the wrong button. What button is that? Oh, right, okay. Oh, yeah, I don't have any healing items. Where do I get those? I can't remember. Stop it. Because they're not in here? I must have used them when I was fighting whirls. No, they're right here. So then why aren't they in here? There we go. Okay. Now I have my potions. Alright, let's go. Onward to battle! I still have notification dots. I don't like the notification dots. Nice. Alright, creature compendium. No more dots. Yes? I know I need to do this. Stop reminding me. I should do that. I have that daily realm thing still. I'm just gonna try to ignore it. It's fine. Whoop. Oh, is it healing itself? Oh, shit. Whoop. I might be a little quiet during this because I'm like super focused. tried. I probably had enough time for 6. That's fine. Where are my things? This guy has a lot of health. Yo, what? This guy has so much health. I think he's healing. Come on, dude. Something happened. I think I triggered the next phase. Okay, moving when the rings are happening is not helpful. Why can't I? What? That shield is back up. Come on. Epic gamer moment! Let's go! Oh my god, it's so hard to do this and talk at the same time. They're such cute little sacrifices. I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Why can't I move? Why can't I move? I can't move! I found a glitch. Infold. Infold! I found a glitch. None of the buttons are working. Well, I was so close. That's not fair. Literally all of my buttons stopped working. That's not fair. I was so close to winning, too. It's not fair. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. I just started back up again. Try all over again. Blah, 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 blah. Fine. I guess. Oh man. That's so annoying though. Now I gotta wait through the loading times too. Hopefully it loads quickly. Okay, loading screen time. Sorry, I totally spaced out and I was thinking about something else. I was not here for a few seconds. Sorry about that. Alright, time to wait for the incredibly slow loading screen. How was your day? I've been feeling like super lonely. I was trying to do this. I was trying to get the loading screen done while the stream was loading, like in the like 5 minutes that I have the stream load, that didn't work apparently because my game crashed. I've been feeling kind of lonely lately. I don't know why. But yeah, feeling a little invisible, feeling a little lonely. But that's why I stream, because like you guys hang out with me. I say to nobody. Oh, yo! Is there nobody else here yet? No, I don't think so. I didn't mean to draw out the lurkers. Apologies. I was talking about my personal life. I don't mind waiting for people to join in here, obviously. No, you're good. Don't worry about it. The lurkers can stay lurking. That's what they do. I mean, like, you guys can be hanging around all you want, and I'll still probably be lonely in my personal life. But it's fine. Because I got you guys hanging out with me all the dang time. I'm actually very grateful for everyone who comes on to stream. I was between work and speaking up for someone online who's been a target of some undue harassment. That is the most valid statement I've ever heard. Fight the good fight. as they say. Who's they? I don't know. I have phrases in my brain and I don't know where they come from. I just say them. I just say stuff. Truly, honestly, just say stuff. Honestly, I wish I had someone like that when I was a kid being bullied. Although my mom every time I talk about like the bullying, where I didn't know I was being bullied as a kid. I did not know. I had no idea. But basically, like, my friend group would basically, one day I would be part of their friend group and one day I would not be. And I had no idea when I showed up to school whether or not I would be able to sit with my friends or who I thought were my friends. Yeah, that's bullying, and it kind of fucked up my brain. I look back on that and I go, oh, that's why I think all my friends are gonna leave me. That's why I have no idea whether people like me or not. It's like the phrase "got a wild hair up my ass" for when someone feels spontaneously compelled to do something that just popped into their head. I've heard several people say it over the years, but no idea where that came from. Kids in school were gross. That was elementary school. They also, when I was in 2nd grade, I had this friend, and he was like one of the only kids who was like actually my friend. I'm pretty sure he was autistic. Wow. I wonder why we were such close friends. Anyways, one time in like 2nd grade, he snuck into the 5th grade garden and stole a tomato for me, because he knew I really liked tomatoes. Very sweet. And the other kids in the class decided that we must get married, but didn't tell us. So they brought us both. We were like hanging out after school, waiting for our parents to come get us. And they brought us around the back of the 2nd grade classroom where like nobody would see us. And they were like chanting at us to kiss. 'Cause there were no teachers back there. There were no teachers back there, and the curtains were always closed. So, yeah, and then I think I kissed him on the cheek, and then I ran to my mom's car, and I cried when we got home. I just, like, cried alone in my bedroom. That was a time. That was a time. Yeah. I think he was like one of the only kids that like was actually my friend. Him and Zach. I probably shouldn't say his name. Anyways, nobody's gonna know. Hello, Miko Hakure? Hi, Miko. I like to attempt. Had a group of kids pull that one on me in junior high. Had no idea why they were doing it. Later learned that it was literally because one person in the group thought it was funny. That's it. Randomly exiled because one kid thought it would be funny to socially cut someone off from all their friends. Yeah. Yeah, this game is fun. Oh god, it loaded me right back where I was, except he has full health. Okay, woo, enough stories about childhood trauma. Now the game is loaded, and I have to keep talking to entertain you guys while I do this fight. Okay, guess what? Thank you, I will! I'll do my best. Entertain us! Dance, monkey, dance! These little guys are so cute. I don't know why, I think they're so cute. Ooh, an Ariel inspired outfit. That's so cool. That's a fun idea. To do like Disney princesses. This guy is hard. I actually think he's harder than like I'm having a more difficult time with him than with like Whirls. Whirls was hard too. Ow. I can't look at that right now, obviously, but maybe at some point. the emotes. Ah. Oh yeah, I'm working on a blush emote because you guys wanted it. I have like one animated emote slot left, so I think it'll be really cute. Use the hair from Whisper of Waves. Nice. That's a good one. Oh gosh. Again? Oh, I thought the controls were stuck again. I was actually gonna give up if that happened. I was gonna like move on to something else. switch what game I was playing. I hope Ham gets back, gets in here, because I think they were really invested in this story. Alright, there we go, 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 there we go. Up. Yes, I am jumping through the rings, Momo. Thank you. Thank you for the advice, Momo. Gosh, the dash cooldown. Dash cooldown gets me every time. I think I'm doing good this time. It seems to be going faster than last time. So maybe my whole game was glitched? I have no idea. Maybe I'm doing a better job at taking out these grunge furnaces. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which if I have any from that set. But I can probably look at it. I just don't know if I can actually, like, wear it. I don't know. Oh, from the permanent banner? Yeah, I don't know what I have from the permanent banner. So I try not to spend money on this game, so. Okay, that guy's glitched. Cool. Oops. Ow. You can earn pulls in this game easily. Yeah! Hobby himbo! Oh boy. Not another one. Not another Hobby Ham clone. This... This is gonna be so confusing for new viewers. Hobby Ham approves of this one? Okay. That's cool. It's still gonna be confusing for new viewers. Hobby Ham isn't even here. Oh shit! I did a thing. I think I broke its shield. Damn it, he was faster than I could. I think because the name is kind of funny. I mean, I think a lot of them are funny. Are as equally funny as each other. Hobby Himbo is pretty good though. It's one of the accounts as he said I hoped Hobby Ham would show up. I want the real Hobby Ham. One shot left, one shot left, one shot left. Yay!
It's okay. I can fix this.
Yay! I did it! Let's go!
I'll still fix it. I have to fix it. I can fix this. Back when I was a stonemason, when I first tried to sculpt a self-portrait me, I felt just as lost.
Oh boy, we got
Is this
backstory.
really what I look like? Should I smile? Maybe cry? I finally figured out the hardest sculpture of all. How to carve a me that truly looks like me. I'm sure I'll find a way to devour the moon, too. If I could just take a bite, Mia could be saved.
What? Stop taking bites out of the moon!
Shigandong, creating an S-Ling to devour the moon. How could that possibly save anyone? The ancient text says to gather the one Shang power to resist the dark.
But Nikki, don't you think it's strange? Mia always followed the rules. She lived according to the script. So why did she grow a mask too? Chroma only said the one Shang power could lift the curse, but when did she ever say what the curse truly was? It was only after I read that ancient text that I understood. We were stone statues to begin with, and the Dark's curse was life itself. Life gave us consciousness.
I don't think that's true.
How could life be a curse?
If that's true, then when Chroma said she would lift the curse, she meant she'd turn everyone back into stone?
But ever since the moon flares began, the Chroma faces have been getting weaker. That's undeniable. There must still be some truths we haven't uncovered. You can't just
But
Well-
Mia can't wait any longer. All I know
He
is
cut me off. What the
when
heck?
I finished my first sculpture, and when I first got to call her my sister, I was happy. Even if
Maybe
no
they keep hating the moon because they love cheese as much as I do. I love cheese.
I want to sculpt my own
Cheese is
shape with
great.
my own hands. I want to take back our lives.
The
from
question
Chroma.
is,
Mine
what
and
cheese
Mia's.
is the moon made of?
If I can't devour the moon, I'm going to the Johua Pavilion to confront Chroma myself.
Shugandong.
I mean,
He caused the moon flares. He said Nikki didn't cause them, and that she was a good person, so doesn't that make him the bad guy? Shouldn't he be stopped?
not necessarily.
But he's shining too.
We need to find out the truth before we decide what to do.
No, this is Infinity Nikki, not Shining Nikki.
We've never even seen
Ha
Chroma's
ha
true
ha ha
form.
ha.
We've only ever heard about her. She isn't going to be easy for Shugandong to find. Before then, we need to bring the materials back and perform the operation. Then we can get little Jade out of Momo's belly. That's
Yeah.
the priority.
Yeah! Luckily, everything he dug up was spit out by the cauldron. Let's return these amberwood fragments to the Echo.
If there was any
and have
justice
them
in this
separate
world,
everything.
it'd be a good medium pepper jack. Provolone Swiss cheese, maybe mozzarella if we're lucky. What's wrong with provolone and Swiss? I'm just gonna teleport out of here. What if it's a white cheddar? Does it have to be pepper jack? I'm not good with spice. I just prefer pepper jack. That's fair. I can't remember. I mean, I was referencing Pajama Sam, so I can't remember what the options were from Pajama Sam. Ham. I have zero humor about the bit. I just like himbos. That's fair. Ooh.
These fragments of broken amber. They say, "Thank you, Nikki."
I'm just glad they're recovering. Momo and I owe them thanks too.
It's as if some new memories have awakened within them.
I have a love-hate with white cheddar.
Do they
It's definitely good in
remember
some
anything
things
about
like
the
mac and
curse?
cheese.
Maybe
Oops.
All the
Do they remember anything about the curse? Maybe they know if it's true that life itself is the curse.
remember is Chroma once saying the one Shang power springs from life.
Wait a minute. I'm confused. One side says that the Dark's curse is life itself.
You have a weird
The other
schedule
side
today,
says
so
that
you'll be in
the
and
power
out. That's
of this curse
okay.
comes from life. Somebody's got to be wrong here.
I'm happy you're here, even if you're lurking. I will know that you are here.
That question seems hard for them to answer because their lives aren't whole. Their bodies were destroyed, so they can't even comprehend the vastness of heaven and earth. Their minds are so fragmented that they don't even understand how time passes.
Well, what a mood.
Chroma said they can perceive the One Xiang, but they cannot give birth to the One Xiang power.
The train.
Even I can sense how much they're hurting.
I think I understand why life is the curse now. The dark gave the statues life, but trapped them within their stone forms. The true curse isn't
I don't have
life
any water.
itself. It's the pain of being alive, yet unable to grow. It's the struggle against stillness. They've been imprisoned here this entire time, unable to make their voices heard by other Chroma faces. They must be in so much pain.
No, not anymore. Chroma has already repaired them, and you healed their new wounds. They're not in pain anymore.
That's good.
But pain and suffering aren't the same thing.
They've been growing all along, Nikki. The worn straw sandals, the broken pickaxe, the fragments of masks used to pray for their loved ones. The lanterns blown away by the mind, and shattered statues. Amber wraps around these things, so we are also the memories of those who came and went.
I gotta be honest, I am not following this story, like, at all.
Oh, is that what it means to perceive the Wanxiang?
Nikki, they say, we remember you, like the stars in the night sky. Those marks of healing are yours alone.
There's a story? Yeah.
And I'll remember you too. I'm glad we met.
I have, like, no idea what is actually going on. Like, usually I'm ahead of the story, right? I'm like, oh, okay, it's this person, I know what's going on.
Momo,
But I have no
let's bring all
idea
these materials back
how
to
this one's
Baijiao
gonna
Hall.
end. Alright, let's go back over here. Okay, let's go! There are whim lanterns everywhere! Time to jump over the fence again, instead of taking the path like a normal person. And there's things here. Boing! Alright, over the fence.
With a capable assistant like you, Baijiao Hall is bound to become the biggest business in Zaiye. Too bad the Banquet of Bliss is just around the corner. Let's focus on the surgery first, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
There's news about Li Dong? That's amazing!
Yes. If what you say is true, Shi Gongdong's plan was foiled, and the Wangqiang realm is safe, for now. We'll be able to uncover the whole truth once we find Li Dong.
You've lived in my belly for so long, and I haven't even charged you barbecue rent. Nikki!
Momo, you're okay. That's great news. Thank goodness for Miss Jin's miracle hands, and the money we earned.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that up and I'll report you to the Chromatic Guards for profit.
What the heck?
Speaking of the Chromatic Guards, in Kongming Gorge, we found the true culprit behind the moon flares, Shi Gandang. We should report him to the guards and have him kept under surveillance.
What? Another moon flare?
Oh, it hurts so much. I want to go home. I don't want this.
Where is your home?
Why do you look so miserable? No, don't tell. Don't tell. It's because you don't have my belly to protect you.
Oh.
Or maybe this moon flare isn't like the ones before. Miss Jin, is there any way we can get to the Jiuhua Pavilion? Shi Gandang claims he's going there to confront Chroma himself. Maybe he's behind this new moon flare. Or maybe something really has happened to Chroma.
You want to go to the Jiuhua Pavilion? I swear that's nothing but a losing gamble. Still, Chroma's been missing for a while. They say she only appears during the Banquet of Bliss. And besides, your friend is there too.
Oh shoot, that's right.
Has he also grown a mask?
He
Oh.
used to be the type who could
That
throw
wasn't
an
the friend I was
entire
thinking.
street into chaos, but ever since he came to the Wangqiang realm, he's vanished without a trace. I'd already suspected as much.
Oh, even though this trip will cost more than it earns, I'll take the job anyway. For centuries, we feared being trapped in these stone bodies, waiting for this very full moon. No matter how afraid we are, this has to come to an end somehow. Nikki, this mess is all our fault. We shouldn't have dragged you into all of this. And yet you stepped in with both skill and kindness. If you're still willing, I would like to lend a hand.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Jin. Actually, I feel like something has been drawing me to the Wanxiang realm for a long time. You're right, this is a mess. But because of you, Nightbloom, and Mia, I've truly come to understand. So it's not just for everyone else. I want to find out the truth for myself.
And me.
Nikki is
You'll need
very
help.
curious.
You can't leave me behind.
She's a little curious
Good.
detective type.
Then when the banquet of bliss begins in a while,
She kind of gets
the
herself
bliss
stuck
of
in
the
these
little
situations
possibility
and
will come to
and is
people
like,
you
I have to
met.
see this through. You know,
When
classic
that time
protagonist.
comes, return to Bai Chao Hall. I'll have everything ready.
All right. Unlocks in 2 hours. No. What do we do now? I have to wait 2 hours. But I'm gonna be done streaming in like 2 hours. This quest is gonna come out right when my stream ends. Classic protagonist wanting to know what's happening. So lame. I just mean like I feel like she no, you can't pay money to get it sooner. I would. No, you can't. Wander the woods killing demons? I mean, I could. I've seen a lot of these games set up that way. You can pay to win a lot of things in this game. You can't pay to win the quests. The quests are the things that you can't pay to win. We could do these, we could do these style challenges. Honestly, Infinity Nikki has weirdly few options to buy things to progress. Yeah. Pull out a Sega Dreamcast. Yeah. I don't know what this guy's on about. I just want to have a style battle. Let's go. Elegant and cool. I can do elegant and cool. Elegant, cool, and divine. Do like that. Yeah, could use the new boots. I wish they had a heel on them. Yeah, I like that better actually. It's kind of giving, it's giving cool. Yeah. I don't know if this'll be good enough, but we can find out. What is this from? Yeah, we'll do the wings. Hair is clipping a lot though. Yeah, it is, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I kind of have learned to like deal with the clipping. That kind of adds like a little bit there. It's clipping a little bit. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. That's a really cool outfit. The only thing that would make it better... That's pretty good. With the cape. Can we get your most clippingest outfit for the next one? I can do my best. I can try. Okay, I like this, so I'm gonna take this off. Maybe I'll get rid of... Hang on, maybe I'll get rid of the earrings instead, because you can't really even see them. There we go. That's sick. That's super sick. Let's see, do I have any better... No, I need the points. And I kind of like the spikes. That's cool. Alright, let's see if this works. Do I have this that kind of matches. And I think I like the purple. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, let's go. Let's see if that works. Alright, let's see. Yeah, there we go. I love when I can get the outfit to actually be, like, kind of on theme. Nikki cooked, ate, and left no crumbs. Alright, where else are there style challenges to do? There's one here. Let's go this way. Boing. Boing. Alright, Ham said most clippingest outfit, so let's do that in here, because I wanna... Yeah, once you've leveled enough pieces, it's nice to actually play the game instead of optimizing. Yeah. I'll take this off, and we'll try for our most clippingest outfit. I don't think I'm gonna save it, but, you know. Let's start with the thing that I know clips a lot. This one, or... I think this one clips a lot. Because it used to be, I think it used to be this one, but it might be this one now. Oh yeah, that's clipping. Is there anything that clips more? That's clipping a lot. Oh, wow. Oh, I think we have a new winner. Why wouldn't you save it? Because I don't know if I want to run around with the most clippinest outfit. That's not too bad. Alright, I think it's either these ones or this one. Yeah. You look like a glitch, how cool. I think it's this one. I think this one clips the most. Now... Okay, that clips with it. That clips with it. That clips with it. Wow, this might be the most... just the most clippingest item. Am I trying to make this outfit look good, or is it just whatever clips the most? Is the question. We might have a winner here. The sleeves are not where the sleeves should be. I think we're trying to make you into Clippy 2.0. Oh, okay. Okay, that one, the sleeves are where they're supposed to be. The clipping will make it look good. Okay. Alright, so, this one, the sleeves are not even where they're supposed to be, so it's obviously that's the winner. As for hair that's clipping... Yeah, I might have a hard time with hair that clips. We'll see. I will put it up for now so that we can see all of the clipping, and then we'll do that. Socks are not gonna clip, so we'll just leave that for now. Shoes are also not likely to clip. Let's see. Can we get a back accessory to clip the hair? Probably. Let's see. If I just pick like the longest hair, which I think is either this one or this one. I think it's that one. And then that's, yep, that's clipping. Let's see. Can we get something that clips the hair and... Ooh, that's pretty good. What about the chicken? Ooh, the chicken does clip. The chicken clips a lot. The fairy wings are so pretty. Yeah, they're really pretty, aren't they? I think the chicken clips the most. Hella clip chicken. I don't think anything in here is really gonna clip. Maybe we could get something to clip the ram horns. Well, okay, we'll do the ram horns and then some kind of hat. Those are kind of clipping. That clips in an aesthetic way, though. I think we want, like... How heavy do you think her hair is? Very. What's up, Kenj? Does it give her neck pain? Probably. That's pretty clipping. In, like, not the best way. Wigs? That does not mean it does not give her neck pain. As soon as you log off, she's bald. This might be clipping the most. Yeah, I think it's this one. Wigs do have weight. As for earrings that clip, we just want something that's really long for the most potential to clip. Great. This looks great. This looks so good. All right, necklace. I mean, the necklaces are gonna clip. But, like, what's the most clipping necklace? How do we determine which necklace clips the most? Her earrings are clip-ons, fucking poser! I mean, like, a lot of them clip. That might be it. Alright, bracelet. Yep, there it is. Uh-huh. Yes. This one. Maybe this one. Gloves. Gloves that clip. Wow, those ones don't even clip. That. Probably. Wow, I'm impressed. A lot of the gloves don't clip. So probably these ones, I guess. And then... Yep, that's clipping. That is also clipping. There it is. We want the most clipping. That's clipping. That might be clipping more, but it might just be the sleeve. Yeah, this outfit is great. I don't even know where that went. That's clipping the sleeve a lot. Alright, cool. Yeah, that clips a lot. Alright. This one might clip more. Yeah. This is a great outfit. Good, good suggestion. Great outfit. That clips a little bit. Yep. That's, yep, that dragon is clipping. This is so ridiculous. It kind of does. Alright, we still need some kind of pants or skirt that clips. That skirt prevents clipping. We don't want that. Like someone trying really hard. Yeah, exactly. Let's go with this because I think it's funny. And I don't know if any of this... Wait, this is really cute. What outfit is this from? Oh, Star Memory. Okay. I'm not seeing any clipping from that, but it kind of works, actually. As if anything from this outfit works. Okay, I like this. Can I get... If I wear... No, it's not gonna do that. Okay. Let's see about, like, short ruffle socks, though. If we can get short ruffle socks to clip. That might be our best bet. Ooh, a little bit. A little bit. Okay. What are you talking about? This is the best outfit I've ever seen. I'm sure it is. Yeah. Look at the... Look at the way it goes into the pants. That's really funny. That might be good. It's like when a toddler is allowed to dress themselves and they pick all their favorite costume pieces. Yeah, exactly. This is getting close to what I'm aspiring to in ZA. Yeah, I think it's the fuzzy boots that were at the top. Might be our top contender. Ooh, these do clip a little bit though. But I think the fact that like it's just like shoop is so funny to me. Alright, great. That's good. Are there any other accessories that we can add, or did I add all of the accessories? We can add a ring. Why not? And we can add one of these, even though you're not gonna see it. Alright, makeup? I don't think makeup can save this. We can give her some cool eyes, though. Do I have any, like... Those are cool. Alright. Great. Here it is. I will save this. I will walk around like this. I will walk around like this for this stream. I've been buying literally all the clothes in an effort to find the absolute most hideous combination of confusion I can put into one outfit. That's funny. Time to gallivant. Exactly. Alright, we're gonna have to take this off for this challenge because I want to actually do this, but it will come back, don't worry. It will come back. Impeccable posture. Okay. We're looking for fresh. I wish I could tuck in this shirt. That's pretty good, actually. They were running out of ideas for that theme. Yeah. It does feel a little bit like they were running out of ideas. It's okay. There's like a trend in Korea where you wear like delicate, like flowy clothes on top and then like dad shoes. And like the more disconnected they were, the better or something. I don't really know what that was about. Not my personal sense of style. But it works, I guess. I do like chunky shoes though. Maybe it is closer to my personal style than I would like to admit. It's, well, I like chunky shoes, but not like dad shoes. I like platforms because I'm short. I have these platforms that like kind of match my hair color. Maybe I'll wear those today to class. Chunky shoes are so 90s. Mm-hmm. Very. Let's see. What do I want to do for accessories for this? Oh, that clips with the hair. Maybe we find a different hairstyle. I think that's cute. And then maybe the little Momo clip. That works. And we'll just use these like flower accessories. I don't think we need a choker. This headband doesn't really match. I like the Momo clip better. And then we have a little like bag. That's cute. Okay. This is cute. Very simple, but cute. We'll do some makeup. Like a little bit. Can I do I have any eyebrows that are like... That works. Yeah. Alright, this is cute. The only thing I'm not sure about is like the purple on the laces because there's no other purple in the outfit. I could do that. That actually might be cute. Some kind of like little heel. That's like too fancy for this outfit. That might be cute with the grass palms on them. Let's go with that. Okay. And we want like green. There we go. Alright, let's go. Let's see how I did. Oh yeah, we got this. Yep. Perfect. Oh god. I almost forgot. Let's see, I can track like different... I think there's just this one that I haven't hit. Oh, and here, but this is the Juhua Pavilion. So I don't think I can get there yet. So we will head over to this one. Just to go tag it, get the gems from that. This is literally gonna be done. What? Why is there a wall here? Why is there a wall here? Excuse me? It's like there's an invisible pillar. Well, did that. Why? I don't know. Because I can. It's a fashion wall. It says you're not fashionable enough. Oh, this is one of these. All right, we got this. Did it. I'm the best. I'm the parkour master. This outfit is something. It is something. Oh boy. It truly is something. Fashion is about how you feel in it. BS fashion while demanding duplicate to their taste. Yeah. Listen, if you feel good in this outfit, I am not stopping you. It's actually kind of, I kind of don't hate it. To be truly honest, kind of don't hate it. It's kind of fun. It's like, it's silly and fun, and I kind of like that, honestly. It's also not that bad. I somehow managed to stick to a color scheme. I don't know how I did that. Oh, a gifty! That's right, we can look for gifties. That'll be a good thing to do with our time. Neat. See, where else can I go? Can I just track, can I track this? Can I just go here? I used to try and be fashionable and presentable, and then I fell in love with wearing the dumbest shirts that scream, "I'm a tourist," and I couldn't be happier. That's actually really funny. That's fantastic. Can I get over here? I think I can. Hell yeah, open world game. Let's go. Got it. That was easy. Whee! I may not be able to get where I need to go. I don't know. I don't try to be fashionable for other people, but I do really like fashion. I really like wearing clothes that, like, well, I really like wearing clothes, period. I really like wearing clothes that, like, make me feel good. Because if you don't feel good in your clothes, then you're not gonna, like, feel good in any situation, so. Me and my safety overalls are gonna do whatever. Alright, if I go to the end of this path, it should kind of lead to where I need to go, apparently. According to the map, if I just kind of walk this way. But maybe they won't let me over there yet. Is the problem. It says it's like this way. I don't know. I'm gonna find the most convoluted way to get there, though. Ah, let me climb the mountain. Let me climb the mountain. No! Let me climb the mountain! Yes! Okay. Oh, let's do this. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Up here. Whee! I don't think I can. I don't think I can get. I don't think I can get to it, gang. I think it's up there. Might be up there. There's probably a story thing, and I can't get up there because of the story thing. I want the teleport. Alright. else can I do? I can go. Let's see if we can find gifties. Cause they give you stuff. I'm not super into the pulls for this round, so I'm just gathering as many gems as I can so that when there is one that I'm really into, I can like pull a lot. Cause that was one thing that like oh, Coliseum trial. These are cool. I want to do Coliseum trial right now, though. I don't think I really do. I'll do it later. Probably. All right, let's look for gifties. Let's look for gifties. I can find gifties in here. Where are the... Maybe it's in here, time to collect. Okay, here we go. Okay. So it's like back a ways. Oh, let me see. How many? Okay, I can only see one fish, so it's. There he is. All right. Echoes of Old Pavilion. Do you think if I make another finite Nicole joke, the theme will turn really dark and existential? Maybe. How do I get... There's a whim star in this fish. There. Or a whim lantern, I guess. Oh, what is you doing? Alright, there's another whim lantern over there. He's just waiting. He's like, I don't have anything better to do. I was like, I beg your pardon, I think you do have something better to do, sir. We gotta save the world, but I have to wait an hour and 30 minutes, which means that we have to wait until Monday. We have to wait until Monday. No. Yeah, an hour and 30 minutes is gonna be noon. Ooh, I see another Whim Lantern over there. Whee! Oh, okay. I can release the lantern. That's cool. How do I get that? How do I get... Ah. There, that's how I get it. Yoink! Thank you. There's only so much Nikki to go around. I see another one. I see another one over there. And I see... Didn't work. It's fine. But I see this... Got it. Alright, where's... It's 94 and a half hours. You did that math? Wow. The game lies to us. No, the game isn't lying. It'll unlock in an hour and a half. But we have to wait until Monday because I only have a certain amount of time on Thursdays. Because I have a class that goes basically right after this. So I can't be sitting here playing Five Night Nicole when, you know, when I gotta go to class. Come here, butterfly. Wait. Come here. Come here. Hey. Got it. Just running around grabbing Whim Lanterns. There's another one. There it is. Whim Lanterns and Inspiration. One Shang Bells. They're not Dews of Inspiration, they're One Shang Bells. Okay. Ah, I missed it. I almost had it. Come on. Come on, Nikki. Cut it off. Got it. Got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. I did a good. I got it. Yoink. I don't know what I can do with One Shang Bells. How does Nicole fly? She has a floating ability. She made an outfit and it allowed her to float. Yeah, this is cute. Wait, what's the whimsicality on this one? Transforms creativity into reality. Peach for Momo. A peach for Momo, soft and sweet. A meow and thanks. A heart is pleased. Cravings gone. A happy bite. A faithful to Momo, faithful to the treat. You give a peach to Momo? That's appropriate. Where's my floating outfit? I don't know. You gotta... There's another wall here. How do I host a hot pot party? What's up? Character token. These character tokens. Clear and simple broth with silken bean curd and mountain mushrooms. Okay. I don't know why. You're a character token. Ham has made it to the train. Wait, what just happened? Okay. Cook for Granny Sue. Silken bean curd and mountain mushrooms. There we go. That was easy. What an inspired outfit, so beautiful. Ah, good fortune. I gotta help people with Hot Pot, I guess. Oh, that was the quest that I needed to do to get... What did I need to get? These... Flavor Frenzy. Okay. Cool. So now I can play. Now I can prepare Hot Pot. Okay. You can feed the overcooked. You can feed the overcooked ingredients to Momo. That's really funny. Alright. You want flavory slice? Infinity Nikki cannot acknowledge this. Yeah, you can feed Momo overcooked ingredients. Silken bean curd. Have you not been feeding your Momo? I'm pretty sure Momo is very well fed. Oh, Ham is subscribed for 4 months. Let's go. Sorry, I missed that. I am not Chinese. I'm just white. Okay, we want more flavory slice. Apparently I can upgrade stuff? Okay. Cool. Why don't you have 4 what? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I think you have the 3-month badge until... Okay, wait, I'm gonna exit. I think you have the 3-month badge until later? Wait, let me look. There was like a weird way that it was set up. It's not something that I did. Where is it? No, I drew all of the numbers, I thought I had anyways. Subscriptions, subscriber badges. Yeah, the next one is 6 months. For some reason. And then you get another one at 9, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And then I haven't drawn past that. I need to update these. I'll do it soon. Neopets was only owned by Scientologists briefly? Oh man. Oh my gosh. What happens at 7 months? Nothing. You have a 6. No! Okay, I have to get ingredients. He doesn't have them. I'm talking to the right... Okay. See, juicy meatballs. I don't have juicy meatballs. Maybe I have to get them from someone? It says talk to this guy. I don't know, maybe I have to do this again? Oh, I think I have to do this again. Okay. Let's go, Momo. Momo parkour time. Seven months you experience the void, hence nothing. I will not kill anybody. I don't like murder. I don't like murder. Only meatballs. Ah! No murder, only meatball. Tea and cake?
Go, Momo!
I like tea and cake.
Go, go, go!
Why? Why am I suspicious? I don't have anything against tea and cake. Actually, tea and cake is a really good combination.
Great job! Keep up the pace!
Yes, I would. Yeah, okay. Cake or death. Yeah, okay.
Mr. Shu's inventory is definitely not Momo's limit.
Yes, I would pick cake over death. Obviously. I don't know how to break these boxes. I'm sure I could do a better job if I knew how to break the boxes.
Go, Momo! Keep going! Go, go, go!
Momo's the best at parkour! Momo's the best Momo there could ever Momo!
No surprise here. For Momo, this game is a piece of cake.
You can't jump on them like Nikki? No.
Mr. Shu's inventory is definitely not Momo's limit.
Unless I missed an instruction somewhere, but I'm still doing just fine without it. So, you know. It's fine. I love Momo. He's a good Momo. Can't believe I haven't seen merch for that guy. That's true. Momo merch would go hard, honestly. I would love a little like Momo plushie with like, okay, a little Momo plushie, but the cloak is removable so that you can get gacha cloaks. Hire me, Infold. Blind boxes are a big thing right now. You buy the Momo plush, and then you have to gacha the cloaks. Real cloak gacha. I'm just saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Go, Momo! Keep going! Go, go, go!
We know what the Infinity Nikki fandom wants. And it's Momo gacha.
Great job! Keep up the pace!
I don't know if getting more after the perfect clear does anything. But it lets me keep collecting stuff, so like, why not?
Mr. Shu's inventory is definitely not Momo's limit.
Might as well get all the stuff. Let's go. What is this? Like seaweed? They look like candy. But this is like hot pot, so maybe it's some kind of like seaweed dumpling? I don't know. It's green. It's not an ingredient that I have seen for hot pot before, but I'm also white as fuck. So I don't know. Maybe I am uncultured. That's true. I would dress my Momo in so many outfits, right? Honestly, giving me ideas. What if I made my own blind box toy and like you get to pick your character. So like I come up with like 5 characters, right? And then you get to pick your character and the gotcha is what outfit you get. I think that'd be pretty fun. I think that'd be really fun, actually.
Great job. Keep up the pace.
This one's harder because I haven't seen a lot of the plates. There we go.
For Momo, this game is a piece of cake.
Momo's just such a hungry boy.
Mr. Shu's inventory
Isn't that what your
definitely
cat
not
is
Momo's
for?
limit.
Oh no, Momo. Can you make that? Probably. Some kind of jointed doll. Because I love a BJD. So some kind of jointed doll. And then you gotcha the outfits. I don't know. Seems pretty cool. Okay. Juicy meatballs and fresh slices. You're dreaming about your second cat? There we go. Oops, I dropped one. It's okay. Here you go. What do you mean? I did it perfectly! Is it because I dropped one? The heck? Okay. This is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. I'm so confused. That's literally what that's what he asked for. Right? Juicy meatballs and fresh slices. Oh, wait, fresh slice, not flavory slice. Whatever. Don't act like you... There you go. Oh. I'm trying to get him to stop breaking ceramics. It's going badly. I have other priorities. I can dress my cats up, clip their nails, and use them as a... He smashed a glass this morning, first thing when I woke up. He lets us clip his nails and clean his eyes, no problem, but he knows we're grooming him. But a little hat, he short circuits. Mountain mushrooms and silken bean curd. I put this back. There we go. Mushrooms cooked. There you go. Great. Perhaps I'll have dumplings for lunch. Sounds good. Sounds like a good time, honestly. I would say hot pot, but I don't have any by my office. Jack, tell me you can't absolutely imagine me picking up one of my cats saying hello, say hello to my little friend, and then pretending to fire a spray of bullets in the air like you're an automatic weapon. No, it's I can, but I immediately thought of. Have you guys seen the? I think it was like a Vine or a TikTok where someone did that, and the cat like meowed with it. Like, sounded like meowing when they did the wiggle. It's just normal cat owner behavior. It's the only way I can picture you. It's funny. I like climbing up on the buildings. Oh, free clothes. Oh, I absolutely meow back and forth with my cats. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, there's this video. Wait. Where's the... Yeah, this one. Hang on. Let's see if I can I just... No, I can't. Wait. Here, this. Anyway. That is the video I was talking about. Yeah, we're on the same page. see. Do I see any more? Cat owners will know it's not mean enough. I'm a large enough person that I can comfortably hold one like that in each arm. That's funny. Alright, let's do the Coliseum challenge. Oh, I never turned the game audio back on. Whoops. Hello. Oh, I probably need that. Hope I haven't missed one. That actually got me. That actually startled me. That actually startled me a little bit. Aww. Ah, I didn't know he was gonna do that. Okay. Whoop. This is harder than the actual Coliseum that I actually had to do in the story. This is harder. Normally it's like the same one, but I guess they had to change it because it wasn't parkour enough. Where do I go? I missed one. There it is. Alright, we'll do all of the attempts. Alright, we got some stuff. Some stuff. Aw, poor kitty home all alone. He'll be okay. He'll be okay. This is what happens when you spend all your time inside people's walls. Listen, it's an honest living. I don't know who's paying them, but someone's paying them. I normally spend all day with Doug. Stupid office time. Aww. Ooh, new Mara level. He got his kibble early since I had to leave. Oh, very nice. He's like, Mom should leave more often. See, this is really cool. 'Cause you can turn into a deer. But I don't think I want this whole outfit. I just want the ability to turn into a deer. Like, same with this, I don't really... The cloak is kind of cool. And the rest of it, I don't really care. Like, these sleeves are kind of cool. But, like, I don't know when I'll be able to use these pieces, really. Like, they're just not really my style. I'm almost to another 10 resonance on these. track that, and I need to untrack this because it's annoying. It's annoying me. I don't care. I'm surprised that this outfit seems to be working with like most powers. Like it worked with the gigantification and everything. Ooh, did I see a flash of purple? I feel like I saw a flash of purple that way. Sniff it out, Momo. Where's the whim lantern? Aha! Well, I definitely didn't see a flash of purple. Maybe I saw those. I don't know. There's a thing over here, though. I'm pretty sure they're paid by a coalition of Mormons and Scientologists. Got it. That was easy. Time to collect. Ooh, there's a chest here. I have no idea what to do with these one-chung bells I keep getting. There's another drum. Wait, what's happening? I don't know. Something's going on there. There's a drum somewhere that has a purple... There's probably an alternate timeline somewhere where I converted to Mormonism to marry my high school sweetheart, after her parents offered to pay for the wedding if I would convert. That's some deep lore. That's some deep lore right there. There's a whim star in the fish, or a whim lantern, or whatever. I don't know why I'm collecting whim lanterns. I don't know what... It's non-traumatic deep lore. That's impressive. Why is it so slow? Yeah, I'll light fireworks. Why not? Almost sniffing the whim lanterns. Had you joined, it would have been traumatic lore. Yeah, probably. From what I've heard. I mean, you also can tell someone you'll convert and then, keep your opinions. I don't know, maybe they would have brainwashed you. Yeah, it's... You know, it's not my place to, tell anyone what they can or cannot believe in. But I personally do not believe in that. I couldn't lie to somebody about that, something that deep. I think you totally could. Why can't I get up there? How do I get up there? Give me the freaking... Give me the thing. Am I missing something? I think faith and religion can be good for people. I agree with that. I think some people really just need something to believe in. How do I get that? Do I have to ride this thing? Come on, Nikki! Dang it. Whoop. Got it. Whoa. The lag. I got a thing. I'm ex-Mormon and can tell you lots of fun tidbits about dumb Mormon subculture. That's... I would not have... You really can never tell when someone used to be Mormon. Okay, there's one there. I see a little purple there. Does Momo go there? No. Where is Momo? Oh, there he is. Look at him up there. Little cutie. I think I missed it. I got off the train and we were talking about religion. Alright, see ya, Ham. All the important story stuff is gonna be on Monday, I think. It's because of who I am is how you can tell. I don't have a lot of experience with religion. I'm gonna be completely honest. I have no idea. I just generally have no clue. Give me the wind balloon. Got it. I was a good little Mormon boy. I was destined to leave. Oh, that was interesting. Last church I was involved in was absolutely fucked up. Had us studying other faiths specifically so that we could more effectively break them down and convert them. I've learned so much about so many faiths, but the funniest thing is that they didn't think that they inadvertently taught us how to see those things in our own faith. Wow. Yeah, that seems like it's... Actually, that's an interesting D&D idea, actually. Like a D&D character idea. That's a fun backstory for a D&D character. Then you could tie the religion into the, like, villain. Makes for a fun tool when I come across people using religion to attack others. Nice. Use their religion against them. Mormonism likes to subvert others by saying other faiths have some truth. Interesting. No need to study on other ideas, just focus on what we tell you. Huh. We didn't need Nikki to get all heavy. We did it to ourselves. I know, I'm over here pushing boxes around. Okay, like that, and then... There we go. Got it! Robert is a mythical man of many fables, all of which are awful in their own ways. He's definitely not a good person, but someone I knew as an acquaintance for social reasons. Huh. A mythical man of many fables is pretty funny. That's a great way to describe someone. That's like how I feel about my dad when he talks about his childhood. And he's like, yeah, you know, we just, you know, took the truck to Mexico and hung out for a few days. And I was like, you did what? I was running around at this point. Oh, I found another random invisible wall. I'm not quite sure what that's about. But there sure are a lot of them. Another... a box! It's a box, 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 it's a box. Blink! It's a box, it's a box, it's a box. It's a box! Oh, it's another one I gotta chase around. Got it. He's now in his 50s. He's been gainfully employed for like a quarter of his adult life. He has a genuine literal personality and physique of comic book guy from The Simpsons. Oh no. Oh no. Another Whim Lantern! Yay! I still have no idea what these are for. The Whim Lanterns. I don't know. I don't know what they're for. Gonna be for something eventually, I'm sure. Yeah, it tells you so much about him. Just immediately. Oh, where? I totally missed that. Oh, it's because it's in a rock. This rock is not a real rock. It's not a real rock, it's fake rock. It's guy pretending to be a rock. What about this pile? What's over here? It's blings. Boop. Wait, wait. Sorry, I'm getting hungry. I'm getting hungry, and that means I'm starting to get quiet. Artist worked so little of his adult life because he very specifically does not want to work. Okay. When you hear about boomers, make the stereotype about the guy who genuinely just wants to soak up all the unemployment and other benefits he can and abuse the system for as long as they can. That's genuinely Robert. Oh man, what a terrible person. I mean, but for like every one guy who's like that, there's like so many more that really actually need those benefits. But I don't understand people who are like genuinely lazy. My mom says there's no such thing as lazy. That guy might actually be lazy. Like, usually it's like a mental health thing. For someone to be lazy, like, really, it actually means that something's going on with their life. But I don't know about this guy. Maybe he's just lazy. Maybe he's just a lazy little bitch. He's discovered the power of being, I assume, a white male. Because I don't know how anyone of any other race could be that lazy, honestly. Yeah, universal basic income would be great. Agreed, agreed. Like, if I had universal basic income, I would probably be spending my time building... I mean, I'd probably be spending more time, like, on... Like, having an income, I would be less of a burden on my parents, is really the... Like, I'd be doing exactly what I am doing, which is working on my stream and building an audience here, and going to college and stuff. But at least it wouldn't be like all of my parents to like still take care of me, like food and stuff. Like I could use that for my own snacks and foods and stuff. and not have to worry about it so much. And that would be nice. This man comes across as pitiful in a way that leads people to feel sympathy for him because they fail to see that he's in a situation of his own intentional, continuing decisions. Wow, that's kind of crazy. That's... honestly, good for him. He has convinced people to literally pay his rent for him. He's nearly bankrupted a friend's retired father. Oh my god. Who wound up having to go back to work themselves because he drained so much of their savings? Never mind, not good for him. He's an asshole. Are you okay, dude? Oh no, he's like looking on the ground. He's really an asshole. He sounds like an asshole. Yeah, this guy sounds like a real piece of work. Ooh, puzzle! Yay! Puzzle time. Move the box to connect to laser. Oh, I see. Got it. One day the rest of our social circle is all hanging out, and he was inexplicably not present. He never missed one of these gatherings because there's always good food he could mooch his way into. Okay. There we go. I like this light puzzle. I might incorporate that into a D&D game as well. I really like it. I want to make... okay. I want to make a light puzzle that I can, like... What if I 3D printed a light puzzle that was modular so that I could reuse it for multiple games? That'd be so cool. Wait, actually, that's a good idea. Hang on. Hang on. I need to write that down. Because I want more... I think these are... oh, that's correct. They sell modular light puzzles? Yeah, but I want to make my own. I want to do it myself. I could probably find a 3D print file for that. So being curious, we tag him in our little group chat to ask if he's coming by. We expected to... we expected to send a vaguely whiny sounding voice response as he would, giving an excuse for his lateness and asking us to save some food for him. That's not what we got. Oh no. Robert just sends a text, which he never does, says, sorry, busy, can't make it. Holy shit, has he been body snatched? Yeah, that does sound like it would be sus. There's a wind lantern. Where? Over there. Is the doppelganger cooler? Okay. Detailed GPS tag for where a message was sent from. I don't know if I like that part, but okay. Just on principle, in this case, I'm sure it makes for a great story. He's in a residential area. And the only other thing nearby is a Mormon temple. Okay, we figure he's with a friend in the area. And don't think much else of it. I think I see where this might be going. It's one of those things that you can turn off easily, which makes the app, and the app makes it very obvious that the setting is on. Okay. He just thinks it's cool. Okay. Well, at least you can turn it off. Being able to turn it off is nice. Are there any more whim lanterns around, Momo? Whim lantern. I like sniper mode, Nikki. It's cool. Gems. Oh, Lunchong records. That's cool. Wait, how do I I think I need to go to my backpack. And then they're like in creative items? Oh yeah, here. So a few days later, the one member of the group, who is basically his connection to the group, makes a secondary group with everyone but Robert in it, because he just found out from Robert directly that Robert was at the Mormon temple taking advantage of their charity. Say what you want about religion, don't take people's charity. Jesus. That's horrible. Oh my god. What an awful guy. What a truly awful guy. Like, it sounds like he was bragging about it, too. Like, no, absolutely no shame. That's That's crazy. I don't know why anyone would hang out with a guy like that, to be honest. I don't blame that person from making a new group chat like without him. Like, what a horrible guy. Gosh. We come to find out that Robert and his mom very briefly attended when he was like 10. He gives them this remarkable, incomplete, and inaccurate sob story about he's been trying to get work and he just can't get anywhere and he's praying and nothing's working, and yes, he had been bragging about it. Oh my god. Horrible. Andrew, the one telling us, was understandably very upset about this. Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't be upset about that?
Wow, what a haul.
Taking advantage of charity, even if you don't agree with, like, the religion or whatever, that's awful. This is where the story gets interesting. This is where the story gets interesting?
Nothing's a challenge for you.
Wasting the time of Mormons is hilarious. Well, if he was just wasting their time, it would be fine, but, like, actually taking charity from them. Is not good. My dad will get scam calls, and he will waste the time of the scammer until he gets annoyed, and then once he starts getting annoyed, he just starts yelling at them. Like, like one time he was like, "Does your mother know that you scam people like this? What do you think she would think of you?" It was crazy. I was scared, and I was not even part of the situation. Mormons aren't charitable because it's the right thing to do. They do it to be performative and get good boy points to get converts. Yeah, but someone who's like actually in need could still take advantage of that. So I still don't think taking charity is the right way to go. Mormons don't give without an expectation of getting something in return. I mentioned that I know a fair bit about Mormonism because of a very serious relationship that came very close to engagement, and because of what I learned about the Mormon church through my own church's fucked up lessons. This is true for most organized religious institutes, if not all. Happy Thursday, hot dog suit! Dan's telling us a crazy story. I also tend to have an extraordinary silver tongue. Dan is always telling a crazy story. Honestly, it takes the pressure off of me to, like, be talking while I'm streaming, because I'm just like, I'm waiting for the rest of this story. I'm just sitting here, like, you know, killing S-lings and reading Dan's story aloud. Perfectly entertaining. It is my job as the streamer to, you know, spread joy in any way I can. So I told them all in chat that I had an idea, but I wanted their unanimous approval if I was gonna do it. If even one of them had disapproved, I wouldn't hold it against them. I wouldn't ask for an explanation. I would just respect it and let the thing go. All right. That seems nice. I proposed that I knew how to contact the church. Not just contact them, but actually get them to listen to me and not brush me off. Oh no. Okay. Oh, okay. More box puzzle. More box laser puzzle. Yeah, so the fact you're telling the story means they all agreed. They seriously questioned whether I could actually pull it off. They thought it was worth trying. I mean, if you can thwart this guy from being an asshole, why not, right? I did it. So to make it a little more interesting, I set it up on a group VoIP call. That way they could hear both sides of the call because they all wanted to know how it would go. That's great. The fact that they could all sit in and listen with their popcorn is pretty good. That's me. Honestly, I am the type of person, like, I don't want to be a part of drama, but I'm all for listening in on drama. You know? Like, I want you to tell me about this terrible person in your life so that I can sit here with my popcorn and hear all about it. I do a bit of research. I found the contact info for the church, and I arranged to speak with the highest ranking person at the temple. Yeah, I'm all for like to hear all about the drama. I just don't want to be a part of it. I don't want any drama in my life. But I do want to hear about your drama. I want to hear about, you know, the general drama. And I'll sympathize, right? Like, I don't want you to, you know, be dealing with drama, but man, am I entertained while it's here. Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Cute. Oh, interesting. They have different, like, rarities. It's more gacha! Yay! More gacha! So anyways, what happened at the church? Did Robert get his just desserts? We only have like 15 minutes left, so I hope we can hear the rest of this story in that time. I get the guy on the phone and I tell him that I'm reaching out because I want to warn him about something I've learned that concerned me. The guy's initially confused and keeps trying to figure out what connection I even have to the church. I explain that I have no connection, but that I know that I've personally seen them use that money to help good people, and I want to prevent someone taking advantage. Yeah, I mean, that's all true. Ooh, rare color. Another fish. Another fish. Another fish. Come on, fishy, fishy. Come on, fishy, fishy, fishy. The guy is skeptical to say the least, but he hears me out. I make sure to never tell him what to do in any way. I explain the situation, I tell them the guy's name, and it's clear they know who I'm referring to. Good. Yeah, you have to be careful telling people what to do. Like, if you're like, well, you have to do this thing, because they don't like that. Nobody likes that. It's often gonna get you... That's why, like, in Karen situations, they don't get what they want. I truly believe that if Karens, instead of, like, being like, you have to do this for me because XYZ, if they just, like, calmly were like, hey, this happened to me, I was wondering if anything could be done about it, they would get what they wanted. The guy is skeptical to say the least. Oh, I already read that one. Haha. I don't know what I've read. It's a lot of text. Reading's hard. Reading is fundamental. Right. I hope you can finish typing out your story before the end of stream. Because otherwise we'll have to put it on a cliffhanger. Toward the end of this, he's still trying to figure out if I'm some mean, horrible person trying to fuck Robert over. He asks me point blank what I think they should do, and I tell him that I don't have any specific suggestion. It's their money, and they should do what they think is best. He considers this, thanks me, and the call ends. That's a good way to put it. A couple weeks later, Robert pops into chat again with the same location, but he seems unhappy. Uh-oh. He tried to get more money and realized he couldn't. Uh-oh. Hi, Miko. Welcome back. We've only got a few more minutes left of stream. Ready for my creation code? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Can remove this thing that chat made me wear. We later hear Robert complaining. Wait, how do I enter this? I just go in here. We later hear Robert complaining because they have told him that they'll help him, but they also want him to come to this job fair they're holding. Dye workshop. Ah, got it. Oh, the palette. Oh, okay, I see. In here, and then there's a thing. Ah. Okay. Nope. I'll figure this out. Hang on. The arrow. Ah, here. There we go. Nope. Scheme import failed. Is there a space at the front? Okay. He keeps talking about... Let's see. We tell him that they absolutely should go to the job fair and take it seriously. He goes and he keeps talking about how weird it was. He said one guy was practically trying to hire him on the spot, and that everybody was really adamant about giving him applications to fill out. The other weird thing is that he was the only job seeker there. Literally at all. So weird, right? So I flat out tell him, that sounds like a test, Robert. You should probably at least apply for some of these jobs. It sounds like they would really hire you. Yeah, I don't have a lot of these things. We'll see what I can import. Oh yeah, literally just the sleeves. Sorry, I guess I don't have a lot of that stuff. Guess what Robert does? Not that. Literally the opposite. And then he's never allowed to take charity from the Mormon church again. Robert ignores all of it and shows back up to the temple about a week later when rent is due. Is there another fish over here? They ask him why he didn't apply to any of the jobs. Uh-huh. Robert hems and haws and explains that he didn't feel confident that he would get a job. He didn't? That sounds like some bullshit. Can you imagine? Oh my god, if people were like begging to hire me, I would probably take a job. Yeah, they want him to pay. Mormon charity is about getting you hooked so you pay them the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. I'd probably do it anyways. To buy my own food. Where do I want to go? Well, I got another thing. Time to collect. At that point, they tell him that they set the job fair up specifically for him. They tell him that they basically had guarantees from at least 3 people that they would hire him almost no matter what. He just needed to fill out the paperwork. Uh-huh. But he doesn't want a job. He wants to mooch off people his entire life. Seeds. hems and haws some more. Still won't agree to actually fill out the paperwork for any of the jobs, and they cut him off completely. Yay! I was gonna say the good guys win, but I don't know. The less bad guys win. I'm gonna die. Goodbye. This is the last charitable money he was able to rip off to keep his apartment. It had been a 6-year run at that point. After that, he was on to living in his car. Father and the Mormons are bad guys in that story. Well, you know. You gotta have someone to root for. Ooh, a tiger. It's cute. It looks like Momo. Oops. Crazy, crazy story. Truly, honestly, crazy, crazy story. The fact that you were like in a friend group with that guy. I feel like sometimes you get into a friend group and you're like, man, what the heck? Who is this guy? Why are my friends friends with him, you know? Even if they wanted their 10%, that's still 90% more income than they had before. I have no love for the Mormon Church, but what if what they offered would have been a step forward for him, and ultimately wouldn't have locked him into staying with the church. Yeah, sometimes there's that one person where you're just like, why are my friends with this guy? Come back, Whim Lantern! There we go. Got it. Well, this was highly productive. I'm gonna get away from the Esselings first. This was highly productive. Thank you for telling that story, Dan. That was absolutely insane. Anytime I say I have a Robert story, it's gonna be a doozy. I look forward to hearing more of your crazy drama Robert stories. As I said, I'm sitting here, you know, with my popcorn. Even if he kept all his money and didn't pay their tithing, the only thing they would do would be to bar him from the temple. I now have to go. It is now time for me to head out. So thank you guys all so much for watching and hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate you guys who are watching and in chat, and even if you're just lurking out there, thank you. I cannot believe, I mentioned this the other day, I cannot believe that it has been 4 years of me streaming, and I took kind of a year-long break, so it's kind of been only 3 years, but whatever. It's been like 4 years of me doing this and taking this kind of semi-seriously. And I cannot thank you guys enough for hanging out with me 3 days a week. So I will see you all on Monday. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I'll see you next time. I'll see you on Monday. Bye bye.